Okay, so I'm going to keep this fairly broad for all 3 chapters, and this review of Toriko chapter 384 through 86 is going to be fairly quick by my standards, especially for a triple review of Toriko. Normally, that's like a 40-minute video. However, I am exhausted in a certain sense because I already did this fucking video. But when I went to go check the recording, the visuals were fine, but the audio, well, take a look at this. So you're seeing how Midora utilizes grooming look in combat, and then finally he does the... Yay! Yay! Oh my god! Oh my god. And this happened before. The same weird static sound problem happened before in like a live stream. So I don't know what's going on with my freaking Yeti. I have no idea what's going on with this thing. It should be... Come on, man. It's just pissing me off right now. Like, really? So I did like the base video was like an hour. And you're telling me that like 25 minutes in. So I spent like what? 35 minutes doing just nothing? Like that. And listen, if it happens in this video, if it happens in this video, I'm gonna save this review for another day, and I'm gonna buy me another microphone. Can I return this thing? I don't know. No. It's been a few months, so no, there's no way in hell. Is there a warranty? Did I get a warranty? Fucking tell me I got a warranty, bro. Like this thing, like nigga, really? Like, say it ain't so. My mic is a heartbreaker. All right, listen, let me just focus on Toriko right now, because I'm going to do chapters 384 through 386 in an overall sense, okay? So, number 1, the pacing and the overall structure. Now, as of late, it's kind of hard to follow things. It's fast. But when it comes to these chapters, the structure was relatively fine, with the exception of one thing. Pacing-wise, it's still fast, but specifically the structure. Chapter 384, it was relatively fine. The first half of chapter 385 was fine. But then when it comes to the character positioning, which is a part of the chapter structure, the second half of 385 and 386 start off weird. Because Midora and Joey, they should still be in orbit around the planet. However, at some point in 385, Midora touches down on the planet's surface, which is really weird because we see Midora, Starjun, and Toriko, they're on the ground facing Acacia. So at what point in time in chapter 385 did Midora and Joey touch down on the planet's surface when they were fighting? Like, at no point in time do I see this occur. Now, we see like the rotary, like the planetary rotary cut that Joey did, and they're clearly still in space, in orbit around the planet. And then after that, we see the Saiyan bomb. And the Saiyan bomb is relatively fine, and we see what the explosion is compared to the planet itself, like we see on the surface. But when Midora takes the Saiyan bomb, there's no indication at all that Midora was on the planet's surface. In fact, Midora seems to take the attack full frontal, and he didn't move. So, like, the positioning in chapter 385 is weird. It's fucking weird. It really is goddamn weird. So, I won't harp on it too much. I mean, in the other video, I spent like 10 minutes on it, but the whole thing here is, again, positioning was a little bit wonky at the later half of 385, and then at the beginning of 386, it's kind of confusing as to how Midora is on the ground in the fucking first place. Like, the way things should have panned out, it should have been the case where they were all fighting in orbit. And that's why in the live reaction, I was kind of confused when it came to Toriko and Starjun. When Acacia did that one attack where the hand comes out of the planet, the god grabbing a handful, that attack, I thought that it was a lot bigger because Toriko and Starjun should have been in space because Midora was in space. But now that we see that he wasn't in space, it was kind of like, okay, so then it's actually much smaller. But still, it was like, I don't understand, like, the positioning is wonky as all hell. I'll keep it that simple. Now, when it comes to the characterization and character development, one of the core characters here for that is Midora. Now, in 385, he talks about his full course. That's for his characterization. There is, in a sense, no character development, because the characters themselves, they don't change, per se. Midora doesn't change as a character when he talks about his full course. He's revealing another side of his character. That full course has been a part of him for forever. And Midora is now talking about that to Joey at this point in time. So it's not something that was new for his character. It was always there, but we're just finding out about it. That's why it's characterization. He didn't develop into something else. His character didn't change in a certain way. Finding that out about his character is a good plus for his characterization. My meat dish is Froze's kiss. Her courage that she gave me is like my appetizer. Like my dessert is my dream to have the family and to have these feelings again. My main course is her smile, that kind of shit. And overall, I won't deny it's a good thing. However, I personally found it a little bit off-putting. I understand that it was an overall good thing for his character, but it's someone like Midora, the guy who wiped out all of the human world's ecosystems in one fell swoop. The guy who has the potential power to wipe out planets with ease. This dude is talking about things like that. Like he has that soft side to him, which makes sense. But it's like, Midora? This dude? This monstrosity has this soft, like, Pillsbury side to him? My main dish is Froze's smile. What? Like, that throws you off. I'm not gonna lie. Shit just threw me off. All in all, when it comes to characterization, that is Midora's lion's share of characterization. Then we move on to Toriko. And Toriko gets some characterization in the form of a power-up, where we get to see the result of that in 386, where we get to see the jet fork pierce to the planet. We get to see the jet knife. This dude shaved off a section of the planet. It was like, yo, beastly. Absolutely beastly. There is no doubt about it. When he did that shave, I like that a lot. And also, going back to characterization for Midora, we get to see some of his power as well. And I want you to know a lot of it. The Emperor's Ring in 384. The Emperor's Ring. Oh man, oof, chills down your spine. That's the biggest Emperor's Ring we have seen to date, by far. And it was so big. This shit, like, it took up, like, I would say, most of the northern hemisphere of their planet. But it elevated up like an inverted pyramid, and then it rippled across space. It rippled across space. Woo woo, Midora. Man, I'm telling you, that Emperor's Ring sent chills down my spine when I saw it. I'm like, yo, niggas crazy, holy shit. Like, wow. Overall, his powers have grown. We get to see the meteor burst, kind of like the Final Flash thing. Only it's on a Neptune-class planet. Yeah, very important to keep in mind. Neptune-class. And overall, we've seen how Midora has grown since he did consume a part of Acacia's full course on the way to their location. So, Toriko, check. Midora, check. We found out a few things about Froze. Not really Joey, Froze. Okay, I'll say this. In chapter 384, for characterization's sake, you do get quite a bit for Midora, Acacia, and Froze, in the form of Midora not being the one that killed Froze, but it was Acacia who either forced her into cooking God, but then she didn't want to do so, so he attempted to kill her. That's why she was barely wounded. Or it was Froze, she was in like the middle of doing it, but she didn't want to go to the furthest lands with Acacia. She was pregnant then, so the child, or the kids, who I'm thinking were Toriko and Starjun, they took some energy from Froze, but she still somehow gave birth when she consumed the full course and pairs in that full course. And even though we've seen Toriko revert back to being dudes, you can change your sex. And so she became a man full on, but as a man still had a womb and still gave birth. And so like what, like the kids came out of the rectum? Like, what? Like the whole thing is a little bit weird when it comes to the characterization in chapter 384, when it pertains to Acacia or Joey through Froze, fuck Froze, and Midora, because it's Midora's theory, and Acacia himself knows a few things, but at the same time, he himself can't confirm everything, because he states that he didn't meet her, but she was pregnant. But at the same time, there is still the underlying tone that Acacia did do this forcefully, when it came to forcing her to cook God, and then her not being able to go to like the furthest lands, and then that kind of shit. The only person that can really clarify all of this is Froze, but odds are, we're not going to go back to time 0, because time 0 is sealed off. Well, Whale King Moon, if he's still active, we can, but I don't see how Froze is gonna like come and talk, and well, I mean, that may happen, I have no idea. But the only way that's gonna be resolved is if Froze herself mentions what occurred at that point in time. Finally, characterization, Acacia himself, where again, chapter 384, you don't really know when it comes to that whole pocket of like their discussion. It's a little bit weird there, but then we do get to see the power of Acacia, which is in your face, like gourmet spank. Whoa, breaking records, one chapter at a time, my nigga. So we have this hand imprint on the planet. I mean, this was like 1/5 of their planet. It was huge. Neptune class. Let me just clarify that. Neptune class. That handprint would have destroyed planet Earth, and then some. Or at least, like, shaved off half the planet. That would have probably pushed the planet forward in, like, deeper space. It would have been crazy. It would have been, like, stupid. This dude, Acacia, OD powerful. Just OD. You see the power. You see the speed. You see the durability, and so on and so forth. And then, later on, in chapter 386, we find out the capture level of Acacia, of this Acacia, where, according to Toriko, via the riddle chapter, which capture level is 30,000, 3 times more than God. God. Crazy. Like, that was jaw-dropping. Neo Demon itself, capture level 22,000. And Acacia's capture level, when he was baby oiled up, all glossed up and bald and whatever, he, and naked, for some stupid reason, he was 8,000. So they took those two, 30,000 capture level. That is the power of Acacia. The man who is well above God. Actually, yeah, is Midora 2? He probably is, based on the Emperor's Ring, but at the same time, it's not confirmed yet. Either way, it was crazy. It was fucking insane. And even though he was relatively calm, yeah, he was sadistic, but he was relatively calm for the most part in this form. In chapter 386, triggered. Massively triggered. And he's like, you know what? I am so fucking fed up with all of you. It's time to die. So he unleashes attacks that are fairly impressive. And that is overall characterization for Acacia. Finally, when it comes to the story progression of all chapters. So, story-wise, number 1, chapter 384, for story progression, it's the start of the fight between Acacia and Joey versus Midora, then later on, Toriko and Starjun. So, it's the start of all that. And chapter 385 is the supposed death of Joey. And at the same time, Joey has used up all of her food luck, which, by the way, I have come to realize is causality manipulation. And you'll see it in the live reactions. I'll put them in the box below, the live reactions. Gourmet luck is causality manipulation because Midora stated that Toriko helping him when Acacia came to help her, that was all gourmet luck. And we know that they can actually control their Gurmei luck. So by controlling their luck, they can control causality. That's what essentially is. But then Starjun in chapter 386 mentions that he consumed Gurmei luck. And I think what he means is that he consumed attacks from Joey that were Gurmei luck imbued. Like Gurmei luck is an actual substance, like or an aura. And he could consume that aura. So now Starjun has Gurmei luck. So at the end of chapter 386, when Starjun is consumed in half by Acacia out of existence, and I'm like, fuck, and that right there is the biggest part of the story at this point in time when it comes to story progression, Starjun's supposed death. But since he did talk about him attaining Gurmei luck, that Gurmei luck could actually have saved him. Potentially, I hope so, because I don't want to see Starjun die. No. Starjun is my boy. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy, Star. I don't want him to die. No. So hopefully that's not the case. But Toriko seems to be beaten up. Starjun is out of commission. Midora seems to be in a pickle. Joey is also in a tight spot. So the only person that seems to be fine is Acacia. And also I want to point out that Joey has been having these instances where her body instinctively reacts as if she were frozen. That may come into play later on, but that's a big if. A little more for character, I just remembered that there in chapter 386, there was a moment where Midora's tongue splits into two. I don't know how he did it, but his tongue splits into two to save Starjun and Toriko. And Acacia is able to consume like a few more things than I thought out of existence. So in chapter 386, we see Acacia get Mugen Kugi punched by Toriko, but only 2 hits occur. And I realized after like a second reread that Acacia actually ate the shockwave. Like he just like Kugi punch 1, 2, like doom, eats the shockwave or eats the Kugi itself. And that reminded me, Neo can nerf attacks by consuming a portion of that attack. I forgot he could do that completely. So when Midora does the hungry space and it wraps around Acacia's body, I think Acacia consumed some of the invisible Oshoku Banzan to force his way through the hungry space. Nothing is inconsumable. He can consume everything. That's what I think. Alright, okay. So now I'm done. Chapter 384 and 385 are going to be good plus the great chapters. Chapter 386 is going to be a flat-out great chapter. Starjun? Please live! Live, Starjun! That's it, I'm done. King Lightning, rate the video, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace! Have a nice goddamn day. And I fucking swear, if this audio starts breaking on me, have a nice goddamn day.